Coffee on the counter, outline on the floor, sticky little notes say, girl, they want more. Laptop on the sofa, cables in and out, heart beating louder, then I hit record. On my mind, every time the red light shines, I'm talking like I'm talking to my best friend. Turn it up, leaning close, you can feel me through your headphones. We laugh, we cry, we do it all again. Like on my mind, yeah. You say you're in traffic, you say you feel stuck. Play me in your hallway while you clean up. Questions in my inbox, secrets in my DMs. I turn them into stories we both can live in. Like I'm talking to my best friend. Oh, my best. Turn it up, leaning close. You can feel me through your headphones. We laugh, we cry, we do it all again. Like on my mind. Tell me what you're scared of, I'll say it out louder. Turn your little whisper into something proud. Week after week, you're right here with me. We grow in the glow of the speaky. Like on my mind. Every time the red light shines, I'm talking like I'm talking to my best friend. My best. Turn it up, leaning close. You can feel me through your headphones. We laugh, we cry, we do it all again.
Hello. We're back again for episode number 2. We're back in the house again. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. It's the 6 o'clock hour, and we are live, Live, live. So come on in the room. Come join me in this amazing episode number 2. Can I tell you something? Can I be honest with you? Every time I hear that intro, I literally tear up because this is my dream, yo. This is what I've been wanting to do for so long, and I finally birthed this. So every time that intro come on and that song starts playing, I'll be back here tearing up. You can't see me, but I'll be like, because I'm just so excited that this is my baby. I feel like I was born to do this. I told you before, I feel like I was born to do just this, right? Move over, Oprah. You made the way for me. Here I come. But welcome to episode number 2. I thank God that you have joined me. Welcome with much prayer, with much gratitude, with many blessings and the favor of God. I pray on you today. For those who don't know me, because this goes for more than just my Facebook platform, my name is Tracy Steels. I am the wife of course, a husband. Hello, I said wife. For 33 years, 4 kids, 8 beautiful grandkids, living my best life that I could not even imagine. When God says, now unto him who is able to do exceeding above all you can ask or think. I'm living that right now. Literally today, I'm living that. And then there's a scripture that says, eyes haven't seen, nor ears heard, neither have it entered into the hearts of men, the things that God has prepared for them. But he's revealed it by his spirit. And so I thank God because I'm living my dream and I love what I'm doing right now. So again, welcome to episode number 2. My name is Tracy. I am the host of this podcast, the founder of this podcast. I am the founder of In Her Shoes Ministries. I am also an author of my very first book called Tracy's Letter. And this is going to go good for today's topic because um, I'm just going to jump right into it. Well, first of all, I thank God for my husband. Bring your face in here just for a second so they can see you. Hubby's right here. Thank God for my husband. We are on vacation, so I'm coming to you from my vacation spot. As you can see, I do have a tan. Yes, it has worked. The sun is working for me. So we're just going to jump right into episode number 2. And for those who will come along, whenever you come along, that's fine. You can always play it back. But I thank God for you being here. Can I just say something? before I continue, in honor of this being May and Women's Month and things like that, my mother passed away. It's been 12 years, 11 years, 12 years now. And I wish she could see me now. Like, I wish she could see me now. I tell my husband all the time because he's been with me for 40 years. We've been married for 33. So he knows my mom like the back of his hand. And her words that she would say to me right now is, "You go, Trey." And so I hear her saying that in my head whenever I'm doing something that I wish she can see. But I really wish she could see this. She missed me launching my ministry of In Her Shoes. She missed me writing my first book. She missed me launching my podcast. But I know what she would say to me. She would say, "You go, Trey." She wouldn't know how to tune in because she wouldn't be tech savvy. She wouldn't know how to do it. She would just tell me to tell her what it's about. But I thank God. If you have your mother still here, cherish her. Love on her, forgive her, because parenting is not easy. This is not my topic, but while I'm here, let me just say parenting is not easy. There's a lot of things that I held against my mom because I felt like she could have done better, or I would have done this differently, or she was so harsh here. But when I tell you, there are no manuals for parenting. Right? And you do the best you can with the stage of life that you're in. You just do the best you can. And my mother was a woman who was young, raising four daughters. Hurt herself. You know, we didn't know a lot about her life, but she was a hurting woman. She had been through some things. She was lived through domestic violence and things like that before we even came along. And so she was a hurt woman raising daughters. And back then, she was born in the 50s, and back then there was no you go to therapy and you do all that. It was just a matter of you learn how to deal with it and you survive. And so parenting, you do the best that you can with what you have and the knowledge that you have and the love that you're able to, the capacity of love that you had. And now that I look back, that woman gave me some good stuff, y'all. I wouldn't be able to stand if she would not have given me what she was giving me. I would have preferred the kind of parent who was like, "Oh, go do what you want to do. Go be with your friends. You can do whatever you want. The world is yours. There's no discipline, gentle parenting." And that would not have worked for me, right? First of all, I was a tomboy. I needed smacked a little bit. Second of all, I didn't know what God would have for me in my future. And the way that she prepared me for my future has me standing today. I didn't know that I would be a pastor's wife for 20 years now so far. I had no idea. And when I tell you that I needed that to stand to do what I'm doing now, because it is not easy dealing with people, but because of what she instilled in me, we weren't raised in church and things like that, but she instilled the ability to stand and the ability to withstand and to endure and the strength that I would need to incorporate it with the church and God in my life and my relationship with him. So all of those things, when I tell you all things work together for the good of them that love him, who are the called according to his spirit. This is not a church channel. However, I am a church girl, so it's going to be what it is. But I simply just have to say that I thank God for my mother and for what she instilled. Even though she's not here, I thank God for her. I will always give her tribute and honor because I would not be who I am. My husband wouldn't have this amazing woman that he has if it had not been for her. Don't worry about the gray hairs he has. I may have done two of those, but that's it. I didn't do no more than two, okay? But so listen, let's jump right into today's topic, okay? Because I'm not going to be on here long. I told you I was on vacay. However, I want to talk about one word that's been going around in my head, going around in my head. And I've been hearing this word a whole lot within the last year and a half. And so, whenever it just was laid on my heart and I couldn't get it off, I was going to talk about something else. I had sent to my assistant the topic for this month. I sent it to her last month. But between then and now, things have changed. And so, there is one word that God gave me to talk about for today. And that's simply the word transparency, right? Easy word, transparency. And so many people have been saying that word, I mean, throughout the nation, church, commercials, and TV shows, Atlanta Housewives and Housewives of Potomac, and all those other ones. And I think I even heard it on Sports Center. I'm very diverse. But anyway, the word transparency. And if you know me and if you don't know me, you'll get to know me. I am a girl who loved definitions. And so I wanted to look up the word transparency by definition. So I can, even though we know what it means, but to have the definition of it, because we throw that word around a lot, we throw it around a whole lot. And it simply means the quality of being clear and open and honest, depending on the context. Depending on the context. It means allowing a light to pass through so objects can be visible and operating in, such and such and such and such, and being able to give information easily to other people. However, that one word, depending on the context. Okay, so now let's go into the word transparency, because you have a lot of people who talk about the word transparency. And I was thinking about something on my way to do this podcast today. I was thinking about how, if you've ever gotten arrested or in trouble by the police for any reason, if you have, that's your business. We all have a past. Hey, it is what it is. That's your transparent moment. But if you've ever been in trouble, or if you've ever been arrested, the first thing that they say to you is, you have, it's called a Miranda right. You have the right to remain silent. And so I looked up, why do they say that? And it's simply to protect your Fifth Amendment right. And it's also their way of giving you the information of, you ain't got to say nothing right now. You can ask for an attorney. You ain't got, I've even seen a show one time where a police officer, this young boy got in trouble, and he was being arrested by several police officers, and there was this one police officer that seen him and seen the vulnerability of him. And while they was reading him his rights, the young boys tried to start talking to tell what was going on, and the police officer kept telling him, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to remain silent. And the young boy wasn't understanding. So finally, um, the police officer said, shut up, dummy. And I was like, well, he said it, I didn't say it. But he told him, be quiet, ask for your lawyer. Why? Because depending on the context, your transparency, it can be dangerous and it can also be rewarding, right? And so we want to deal with that word transparency. I listened to Kirk Franklin the other day on television. And as you know, Kirk Franklin, years ago, he was transparent about his struggle as he was growing up with pornography and how it affected him in his relationship with God and his marriage and things like that, and his relationship to the church and so forth and so on. He was very transparent about his struggle and what he had struggled with. And he knew what he was doing. He did it on purpose. He wasn't pressured to do it. He did it at the moment that he felt like it was time for him to share a little bit about himself and his struggle so people can understand what he was going through. But you know how it is whenever you be transparent and you're helping some people, but at the same time there are other people who's going to use that and throw it up against you or try to bring it up at the most inopportune time, right? And that's the way that the enemy usually tries to shut people down from being so transparent, because what's tea to someone else is a testimony for you, right? So when you're transparent and you're talking about what God has brought you through or how you've come such a long way, what you're telling and what you're doing, and you're being able to talk from a place of being healed. Because if you're not healed, it's hard to speak from that place, because your transparency will cause it will be like a double-edged sword for you, because if you're not healed and you try to talk from that place, it's going to come back, and the way that it's going to come back is it's going to dig even deeper into you, because you were not ready to expose that part of your life. And while I'm here, can I just say this? I want to take my time and say this part. You do not owe anybody, let me take my glasses off so you can see my eyes. You do not know owe anybody the privacy of your story. You just don't. You don't owe anybody the private parts of your story. That's your story. It doesn't matter what they know. It does not matter what they heard. It does not matter. You owe no one the privacy of your story. There's some things that you should tell, some things that you can tell, some things that God will even try, well, He will nudge you to tell. But there are some things that you simply don't owe anybody for any reason to tell them. Why? Because it's none of their business. You could say that with me if you want to. You could even put that in the comments. It's none of their business. I'm gonna let that one sit for a second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's none of their business. You don't owe nobody the privacy of your story. You don't have to go so deep down just so everybody can think that you're transparent, because people were loving that title at one point. And listen, let me listen. The cover of my book shows that I'm a very transparent person. You got the gun, you got the handcuffs, you got the Bible, and you got the red bottoms. Put that all together, right? So you could tell that I'm a transparent person. I like being transparent. It's just who I am. I was raised that way. I was raised tell on yourself so nobody can tell on you, all that good stuff. That's learning to be transparent so that nobody can hold anything over your head, right? However, depending on the context, you don't have to tell everything. People were loving that title of being transparent. Oh, I love this one because they're so transparent. Don't get so caught up in wanting to achieve that in the eyes of the people that you tell the things that God is telling you not to tell. Because there are some things that He's saying, don't say that. Why? Because He sees down the road and He sees what's going to happen to that if you tell that. So He'll say, don't tell that. And if we're not careful and if we're not listening, we will step out of the voice of what God is saying and out of the obedience. That's how come I said transparency with obedience, baby, that'll help hundreds, thousands of people that you don't even know that it'll help. But when you're transparent in your flesh, that's the one that can come back and bite you, right? That's the one that can come back and say, yeah, you shouldn't have told that one. Have you ever, listen, ask me how I know. Lesson learned. I'm talking to you from a place of experience and lessons learned, because I thought I was doing the right thing by testifying and saying this or sharing with someone in a private conversation, thinking that I can help them with this particular thing. So I figured this is a transparent moment. I'll share this. I wish I had a sound for crickets because that was not a good idea, because that came back and that bit me. I almost, one of the mothers of the church used to say, baby, don't give the devil a bat to beat you with, right? And it didn't make sense then, but when you give the devil a bat and he beat you with it, it makes sense after that, right? You can only get hit upside the head before it makes sense to you so many times. However, transparency in obedience, that's when it's effective. That's when it helps, and it frees. That's what it does. Your transparency, when it's done in obedience, it causes freedom, not only to you, but to other people. It causes other people to say, oh my God, if God can do that for her, then I know He can do that for me. And it doesn't always have to be something that's so sinful or bad. It could just be something that you thought that you needed to keep covered up for your own self. And so, the word transparency, we want to make sure that we're very careful with what we're sharing and how we're sharing and when we're sharing and with whom we're sharing, because everybody does not deserve your transparency. You got to be very careful with whom you share your transparency with. And social media has caused us a lot of error in our ways of wanting to say too much too soon and to too many people. Because one thing about social media, once you say it, it's out there. You can delete it, but I guarantee you that before you deleted it, somebody already screenshotted it. Right? I know I'm right. I already know I'm right. And what I said, somebody has already screenshotted that. So you want to be very careful with what you share, even on the social media platform. Be very careful. My husband is here with me. I don't know if you've seen him earlier, but he is here with me. He is my biggest cheerleader. I thank God for him. Um, his life, would you scoot in, babe? My husband, his life has been one of public, um, because anytime that you are um, arrested or you've been out there on the street or something happened, it only takes 5 seconds for people to spread that. And you already know what I'm talking about. I don't even have to go into details. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. Been there, done that, right? You can go ahead and put it in the comments. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt to prove it. You already understand how when things are done in the public, it only takes 5 seconds for somebody to go and start, ps, 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 ps. You know what I'm saying? And they tell the story that they think they know, that they heard, that what they seen, or how it appeared. But until the person actually says it, then it's never really known what happened. And one thing I love about my husband and his story is that he is so transparent, even in the place that he stands. He's an administrative assistant, he's a superintendent, he's a pastor, he's a husband, he's a father, he's a grandfather, and he is so transparent with his story and with his life. I love when we go out places and he's up preaching. I love how whenever towards the end of the service, especially when he sees certain people in the audience, like when we go certain places and he sees certain young men and God begin to speak to him, I can tell when God starts speaking to him and God say, tell your story, share some of your story. And I can tell, and I'd be sitting there like I'm hearing it for the very first time. I'd be listening like I've heard it for the very first time, because when he shares his story, when he's transparent in the obedience of God, you can see it break down walls of the people and the men and the young boys. Even with the moms of the parents of the kids, they begin to cry. Why? Because the transparency that's done in obedience is breaking down walls. It's tearing through things, the hardness of people, especially when people think that nobody can understand them. Sweetheart, would you just for a few minutes elaborate on the word transparency and what it means to you?
Okay, transparency is it's a disclosure that is sacred and intimate
I
to the
like that.
individual. It is intimate because it is your side of the story, and you get to put that story the way you want to put that story out there, without any other voices or anybody hindering what you're sharing. And that disclosure is sacred because it's a personal, intimate experience that you have experienced, that you're choosing to share because you're at a place that you have overcame it,
Mhm.
and you are in a place of healing to be able to share that intimate place.
Did you guys catch the words that he was saying? Oh, I just love him so much. Did you all catch the words that he was saying? It is your story. And what did you say?
Disclosure.
It's that your disclosure. It's your story, and you tell it it's your disclosure. It's sacred.
And it's at your discretion.
It's at your discretion that you tell the story. Transparency is at you own that. Transparency is at your discretion. So you tell what you want told, the way you want it told. You don't even have to go and fix anything that they've heard. You don't got to do that. That's not keeping it transparent. That's trying to go back and make sure that they know the truth. You don't even have to do that. It's yours. Go ahead. I know.
I was going to say that's the reason why that's so powerful, is because you have to be healed before you share. If you're not healed before you share,
Mm.
and then you open up a whole lot of stuff that you're not ready to handle because you're in the middle of it emotionally,
Mhm.
physically, and
Mhm.
it's out here.
It's out here.
So you have to be healed from it first
Mhm.
before you share. And there are parts of your story you're going to be healed from first, and there's some stuff that's going to take a little bit later. That's you share what you're healed from.
Yes.
That's very, very important because if you're talking from a healed place, it's not going to be misconstrued. It's not going to be misunderstood. It's not going to be something that you are afraid to share and get rebuttal or rebuke or retaliation from because you
Right.
have overcame that place. And that's the reason why you share from there.
And that's so important. Listen to this podcast is some good stuff today, guys. This is so good. Why? Because we said the same thing. You've got to be healed
Mm.
before you be transparent. Like I said, transparency can be dangerous or it can be rewarding. And you've got to know where you're at before you start sharing your side of the story, your intimacy. You've got to be careful before you start sharing that, even if it's one-on-one with someone. We're not even talking about testimony out loud on social, even if it's one-on-one with someone, because when you start sharing and being transparent with someone, that means that you are trying to build a relationship with this person, whether intimate, whether friendship, it doesn't matter. You're trying to build on a relationship with this person. And that's why you feel like you want to start being more transparent. But you've got to be careful. It has to be reciprocated. And you've got to make sure that that's a safe place for you to do that. Because once you've done it, you've done it. But if I can say on the flip side of that, even if you've done it and it's out there and you were not ready, you can always still be healed from that, right? You can still be healed from that place. It may take a little more digging around and time of pulling away and getting closer to God and in your with yourself and things like that. But you can still come and emerge from that place. I like that word, emerge.
That is
You
right.
can still, yeah, you can still emerge from that place. And so the biggest thing about you and me is that we are healed and that we are completely whole before we start talking and sharing.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a scripture that says, guard your heart
With all diligence.
with all diligence. I knew he was going to say that one. For out of it flows the issues of life. That's in Proverbs for those who might want to go look it up. Um, you got to guard your heart. And also, there's a scripture that says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So, what does that mean? You put that all together. Your heart has to be healed. Your heart has to be whole before you start talking and sharing. I know that there's some experiences that we want to instantly, start talking about, but you got to make sure that your heart is whole and that is healed before you start sharing, because the last thing you want to do is share from an unhealed heart, because out of that comes a place of discouragement and disappointments and betrayals and letdowns. What else did you have
I
to
was
say?
going to say something too. One of the key things to disclosure and transparency, there has to be a mutual understanding of the individual and who they are sharing with.
Mhm.
If there's no mutual understanding, what will be shared will be abused.
Now, as we say that, that just reminded me of something that the late Bishop Derek Johnson, who we miss terribly.
Oh, yes.
Like, seriously, we miss him so much. One thing that he said about 15 years ago, in the middle of his message, he was preaching about something that he said, oh, how did he put this? Um, if you don't know the purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable.
Here it is. That's it.
That's it. If you don't know the purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable. If someone don't even know your purpose, they're going to abuse you because they don't know the purpose and the reason why you're in their life and why you what purpose you serve in their life. If you don't know the reason or the purpose of someone why why they're in your life, then a part of that relationship is going to be abused.
Mutual respect.
It goes back to that. There has to be a mutual respect and understanding before things are shared.
That's powerful. That's powerful because when you
That is-
understand, you you understand how to cover the individual, how to understand an individual, and also how to come alongside and bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ and be strong enough to handle what the person is saying. If there's no mutual respect, then now it becomes a dangerous, dangerous place.
Can I tell you something that even in marriage, there has there's a level of transparency that has to be had. I mean, without a doubt, transparency. And that's not an easy thing. You would think that two people are married, even if they've been married for a long time. Sometimes transparency comes in cycles
Mhm.
and waves and
Yeah.
bits. You understand what I'm saying? When you meet somebody, you don't know them all together. You don't. You begin to get to know, and there's always layers. There's always layers that you're uncovering from now until there are always layers that you're uncovering in a person's life. So whether it's in marriage, whether it's in friendship, whether it doesn't matter what kind of relationship is, there's always layers that's always being uncovered. So there's always another level of transparency. There are levels to transparency.
Absolutely.
There are levels to transparency. I want you to understand that. So when I be on people's panels and talking and things like that, and I'm transparent, that's one level. But then there's a whole other level that I will not speak of until the Lord says to say it. Because there's levels to transparency. My husband talks about his prison experience, but he ain't talked about everything.
No, man.
He hasn't talked about everything. And I've been with him for 33 years. Even with me, sometimes he would start saying some things, and it's a little bit more transparency of what he went through when he was locked up. A little bit more. And then he might say something else a little bit more down the road, right? And there's levels to transparency with the comfort that he has and the obedience and what did you say before? It's his story. It's at his disclosure.
And also going along with that, that happens due to the fact of the closeness and the intimacy of the relationship with the individuals, how much content is shared, how that content is shared.
Yes.
Because when you love someone and you care about them, you're only going to share things that will not be hurtful to the individual or may not understand. You cover them through that. There's certain things you can disclose, but then there's certain things that you need to hold back to.
Right, right. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Because there's a time and a place. Ecclesiastics, for those who want to know. 3:1 said that there is a time and there is a season for everything under the sun, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to dance, a time to sing. I don't know if that's in there, but
Oh
time
yeah,
to
that's in
a time to rejoice and a time to mourn, a time to build and a time to
season.
refrain from building. There's a time and there's a season for everything, and you want to make sure that you are in the right timing and in the right season, even with your words, even with what you share. Because I know for a fact that there are some of you watching right now that have been through some things that you have not even talked about yet. You have not even disclosed it to anyone yet because you're still healing and you're still uh, trying to find that safe place. But I know for sure that there are some of you who are holding on to some things because we all are to a degree, holding on to some things. Transparent moment for me right here with you all. I had a conversation with my husband the other day. We were sitting on the couch, and this was maybe about 2 weeks ago. And I had a conversation with him, and I said to him, I said, So, have you ever seen a therapist? He said, no, why? Have you? And I said, well, yeah, I have. On my lunch break, I went to go see a therapist. And he looked at me like, oh, okay. That was a transparent moment for me with him, for me to let him know that on my lunch break, sometimes I would go and I would talk to my therapist. I would go see a therapist, and he just sat and he listened and he let me talk. He didn't ask why, what was wrong, what was you doing, what was you. He didn't say none of those things. Why? Because when someone is being transparent, when someone is willing to be open and you feel them opening up to you, that's not the time for you to start asking questions. That's the time for you, as you're sitting there, pray, God, help me to, with whatever they give me, help me to process this. Give me the wisdom on what to say back. Help me to keep this in confidence. Help me to be their safe place. That's what's necessary for transparency, effective transparency on a different level. But I was telling him, and I was like, I said, there's some things that, I just never wanted to talk to you about because I didn't want it. I didn't know how you would take it. And I've been with him for 40 years. There's always room for more. And there's things that he say to me, and he could say, you know what, when I was young, and I'm thinking, what? I've been with you all this time, but there's levels of transparency, and it's at your disclosure.
That's so powerful.
It's that is so powerful. It is at your disclosure.
Your experiences allow your voice to share, and then it takes a
Oh, wait,
level.
wait.
You can bring that back.
Run that back.
Your experiences allow your voice to share. Because when we grew up, it depends on the household we grew up in, the generation we grew up in. Some of us were muted. Some of us were used to living in silent frustration and were not able to share. And we carried that culture along in our lifetime.
Oh, he's talking good.
And then when we get a little older and we learn that it's okay, it's safe to share, it's okay to share. But
That
when
takes
you've been trained in a certain way, especially us men, because sometimes men we're silent. We don't like to share a whole lot.
Talk
We don't like
about
to
it.
have a lot of whole lot of conversation. So when and the more you learn and you live, that conversation is important. Talking to each other is important. If Adam and Eve would have talked, maybe the devil wouldn't have got in there. Just an idea. There was something. There was a space there.
Because he didn't share with her what God told him. He didn't say, hey, Eve, God told me this. You ain't supposed to. He just let her go on
Yeah.
and be what she was doing and do what she did. And then she got caught up with that doggone serpent. And he told her to eat that stuff. And then she shared it with him. So, yeah, they needed to have a conversation.
And then there's a maturity that comes with disclosure. Some things you shouldn't share until you're mature enough to handle what you're saying and the response.
And the response.
Coming after you share, because you got to be mature enough to deal with the blows, the backlash, the hits, the repercussion. There is always a fight for your words, and whatever you share and disclose, there's going to be backlash in the spirit as well as in physically. So you got to be ready. You got to be mature enough to handle the responses. And I think that's what a lot of people miss it at, honey. They don't. They say what they say, but they're not ready for the attacks that come with it.
Well, you know why? I think because it's in the moment. It's in the moment, and that's what I mean by if we're not careful, if we're not being obedient and hearing what God says, and if we do stuff in the moment because it felt good, you know what I mean, or because I had a good, you know what I mean, the feeling was right, and blah blah blah. Stop going by feelings. Feelings are fickle. And you can't go by the feeling is right because people do things in the moment. And when they do things in the moment, then that's the results that they get. They get the result of, I wasn't ready for what was coming back at me.
Oh yeah.
You get that result because you weren't ready. You did it in the moment. And sometimes we do that. We move in the moment because it feels good and it feels. Have you ever done that? Listen, have you ever done that? Have you ever felt like, because it was a feeling, it was feeling good. You're like, I can do this right now. I feel like this is good. All to find out that this was not the right moment. This was not the time or the place for you to do this. There's a time and there's a place. Like I said in the definition, it depends on the context. Some things are not meant for public consumption.
That is true.
It's not meant for public consumption. So you have to be very careful, because what you give is out there. There's no taking it back. Once you put the words out there, there's no taking back the words. So you've got to mean what you say and say what you mean, and be ready to stand 10 toes down on what you allow to come out of your mouth. You got to be able to understand. That's like this word transparency that's been thrown around for so many months and years and whatever. And recently, I wanted us to really break this word down, so therefore we can understand. And when we begin to start sharing, we'll be able to hear when God says, too much, not that part. And it's okay. You don't have to share that part. You don't have to. I don't care what people know. It doesn't matter what they know. I don't care what you know about me. You can know it, and I still ain't going to tell it. Why? Because I don't owe you that. I don't owe my experience to have to come out of my mouth for you. I don't owe nobody that.
Copy.
It does. Say that louder. Into
You
the mic.
have the copyright.
You know what that
Your
means,
story.
right? You know what a copyright means, right? Boom. He's been saying some stuff today, y'all. These are nuggets. I'm so glad that he's on my show today. You own the copyright to that. That's your story. I don't care. Don't try to prove nobody wrong. This is your life. This is your life, and you make the decisions of your life based on what you want it to be, not what anybody else wants it to be. I tell you what, I have two sisters. There's three of us. I have two sisters, and my sisters have some amazing stories. Do you hear me? My sisters have been through some things. I'm the baby. So the other two sisters are older, a little bit older than me, and my sisters are survivors. They have some amazing stories
Oh, yeah.
that will blow your mind. When I tell you, my sisters, them are some baddies. You hear me? That they still standing. And I love that for them. But their story is for them to tell. And one day they may tell their story because it's going to help so many people. But they own the copyright to to their story. But I just want to put out, oh, you must got something real
Oh,
good.
yeah.
I just want to put it out there that my sisters, one day they're going to be on here with me. I'll introduce you guys to my sisters, for the world, for you all to see them, because they're some baddies. They've been through some things, and I just want them to share just a little bit of what they've been through. They don't even look like what they've been through. We don't look like what we've been through.
No.
You don't look like what you've been through, right? Look in the mirror. Look at you. If you didn't tell your story, nobody would know what you've been through. That's how good it is when God helps you through the healing and the whole process of it. You don't look like what you've been through, knowing that it could have been another way, it should have been, it would have been another way, but you don't even look, there's no residue of what you've been through. Go ahead, because you have
No, I was thinking that was excellent what you just shared. But what I wanted to share is that you have the copyright as well as the self comfort.
yeah.
You have that when you're comfortable to share, that means you're ready to deal with whatever comes, whatever said, whatever repercussions may happen. You're ready to say, and you have the strength to do that. When you're in a comfort zone, you have the strength to face whatever needs to be faced. And I think that's the challenge of being transparent, because when you have the strength, you don't care what people say, what they do, you understand your story.
You really don't. And can I say something to you? This is another transparent moment. Well, this is good. It's 6:45. It's only been 45 minutes. This is really good, y'all. And this is, listen, I hope you really take something away from this podcast, because this podcast was meant for you. This was meant for you. You're going to gain so much from this. But another transparent moment from me. Can I tell you something? So when my husband first became a pastor, um, I was, and I still do. I was dealing with something in my life that I have no control over per se, because it's out of my control. It's something that and people would always question. They would have a question, and they would be like, "Why First Lady always get up? Why she always walking? Why she always get First Lady never sit down? First Lady always First Lady First Lady." They had so many things that they were saying and questions that they had, and I don't blame them. You understand? Because what you don't know, you don't know. And it took me so long to finally be transparent enough and to understand that whatever backlash comes, it comes. You know what I mean? I'm able to deal with it. But I had to be transparent and allow the people to understand that I have ADHD, had it since I was little, in school. Teachers told my parents I was diagnosed with it. My mother didn't put me on medication because back then they didn't believe in no Ritalin or whatever that stuff was. My mother was like, "No, she ain't getting on no medication. I'll teach her how to sit down." That was their remedy, right? I got her at home, but um, medically, ADHD is not something that you can beat out of a kid. Just FYI for those who might want to know. But it doesn't work like that. And ADHD untreated and it goes into adulthood, it doesn't leave. You don't grow out of it. If anything, you have to learn how to manage it. And so I'm the type of person who I call it, I was blessed with extra energy, like a whole lot of extra energy. God gave me
Oh, yeah.
I love him. God gave me a whole lot of extra energy. Like I can jump up and down on the bed and be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
but but uh I had to be transparent and share that and let the people know that, I have ADHD. So whenever I have too much energy, I literally have to get up and I have to walk. I have to burn. You know what I mean? I have to, it's hard to explain if you don't know, you just don't know. And my attention has to be, you have to have my complete attention for me to be sitting there and listen, because if not, I'm like, oh, look at the pretty butterflies. That's how come my team doesn't give me flowers and they don't give me balloons and stuff for my anniversary because they know I'll be like, I'll be blowing up flowers and stuff, but that's just me. It's who I am. And when I became transparent, it's part of who I am. So I'm not ashamed of that. It's who I am. I have ADHD. I'm energetic and I have to burn it off. And when my husband is preaching, sometimes he see me get up and I got to walk out. He already know she'll be right back. She just got to burn. She got to burn it off. And there's sometimes that I sit and I say, okay, you got to come in line. You got to come in line. And I don't get up and walk and I tell myself, sit down, you'll be okay. That's what I struggle with. Can I tell you that people are struggling with so many things that you have no idea about? All you see is what you see. But transparency, whenever people know more about you, they're able to understand. And when I told them that, they were like, oh, okay. Oh, so that's what it is. And so that's just a transparent moment. So just in case you see me and you be like, okay, first got the energy. She got the energy going. She got the energy. And y'all pray for my husband. He's so used to it now. God bless him.
Oh, yeah.
He needed this. I balanced him out. He's so chill. Come on, get some energy. Take some of this. But you were going to say something else.
No, that what you shared was excellent. But what I think what kills disclosure and transparency is public perception. How people perceive what they don't know and don't understand. And when it's not shared in an understanding light, it could be so misunderstood. And that's why you got to be healed so you can share the right way, the right content, so it can be understood that it gives no place to anything that the enemy try to do or people may try to do.
Yeah.
I think that's the challenge. And I think that's the fear that people have in disclosure is public perception. What are they going to think about me? What are their opinions going to be? Say, how are people going to view me?
Yeah.
Will this change how people feel about me? Will this alter relationships? Because it will.
It will.
It will. I mean, things are going to change. Once you say certain things, people are gonna look at you differently. They're gonna feel about you differently. But let me tell you something: the people that are in your corner with mutual respect
Yeah.
are gonna stand with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was really good, babe. That was really good. That was really good. So sometimes transparency will change things. It will alter relationships in your life. And that's just going to happen. And you know what? Even if you lose people, for the ones that you gain, it's going to be all good. So it's all good. But before you share, before you want to get on the transparency bandwagon, just be very careful. Make sure that you're healed. Make sure that you're whole. And make sure that you're ready to give, to disclose only what you decide to disclose because it's your you own the copyrights to your story. It's your experience that gives your voice the life to talk. It gives your voice what it needs to be able to speak. And so the word transparency,
Powerful.
the word transparency, uh, when you put it out there, it's out there. So make sure you're ready for everything that comes along with it, for the whispers and for the cheers. because there will be a little bit of both. There'll be some whispers, and then there will be some, oh my God, I'm so glad you shared that
Oh yeah.
because I needed that. Because can I tell you something? Testimony service, when I first came into the church, because I wasn't raised into the church, testimony service for me was a bit of transparency when it was done right. Because I would sit there and I would listen to the people, and some people, whenever they would tell parts of their stories and they were transparent just enough for people to understand who they were and where they came from, it helped.
Mm.
Because you say to yourself, wow, because you look at people and you perceive them to be a certain way because you don't know their life story.
That's right.
So you perceive them to be a certain way, whether good or bad. You have your own perception. But when they start to tell their story and you say, wow, wow. And whenever I launched my ministry, In Her Shoes, God gave me that ministry when my husband was in prison. He gave me that ministry. Um, and I'm so glad because he's really been speaking to me about re-erecting that ministry and putting it back into its proper place, because came from a place of people not understanding me. It was simply they would assume things concerning me that I could not understand why they would assume it, but because I'm like, I'm struggling. I'm trying to raise these four kids. My husband is in prison. I'm trying to walk this walk with Christ. I'm singing in the choir. I'm on the usher board. I work at the bank. I'm trying, and people assumed and decided certain things concerning me how they would want it to be. And so the purpose of the In Her Shoes ministry was to never judge a woman unless you've walked 1 mile
That's
in
excellent.
her shoes.
Hmm.
Because for the most part, we will not be able to trade shoes with the woman sitting next to us, even with the man,
Hmm.
man to man. With nobody, you wouldn't be able to walk 1 mile in those shoes because I say to myself, I would rather have went through the prison experience than to go through the grieving experience that I see some of my sisters go through.
Mm.
I wouldn't want to walk that. I couldn't walk 1 mile. So stop judging what you don't know.
That's
Get to know people. Because unless you walked 1 mile in their shoes, you have no idea of what it is that they've been through, going through, lived through, survived through, thriving through, why they're on top now. Because what you see is them on top, but you didn't see them when they were scraping at the bottom.
Hmm.
You didn't see them when the house was full of roaches or when they didn't have nothing to eat or whenever they were you didn't see all that. You see them on top now, but you don't know that part. But when they start to share and the transparency begins to happen, it lets you in on the people's lives a little bit more. So, transparency, it can be rewarding and it can be dangerous. Be careful with what you share and how you share, the context of what you share, when you share it. Transparency in obedience is fruitful.
Yes, it is.
So, it is 6:54 and this has been an amazing show. This was episode number 2. I am so excited. Thank you all for joining me. I hope it helped you. I hope you got something. Share it with somebody, play it back. I told you, this is my life. This is God allowed me to live my dream. This is my dream. And so this ain't going nowhere.
You did an amazing job, sweetheart. Please support my lovely, gorgeous wife. Thank you so very much.
I'm not going anywhere. This is my dream. And so I just look forward to it getting bigger and God expanding it and him using it for his glory. I
Yeah.
told God, whatever you want to do, whatever stage, platform, whatever, I don't care how you want to do it, God. You give it to me the same way the lady gave the baby back to him. Was it Samuel?
Yes. Samuel.
The same way Hannah, was it
Hannah. Hannah
the
gave the
same
baby
way
back.
Hannah gave Samuel back to God is the same way that I gave this podcast to God. He gave it to me. He allowed me to birth it. And I said, God, here you go. I give it back to you. It's yours. Do whatever you want to do with it. And so my prayer is that it helps somebody along the way with a little fun, a little laughter, and much seriousness. So next month, Join me next month. Next month, it will not be on a Saturday. It will be on a Friday. My assistant, my wonderful assistant, Kathleen, will make another flyer for me because I will be out of town and I'll be on a plane at the time that I'll be supposed to be doing the podcast. So I'll do it a day earlier. So I'll do it on Friday. Mark your calendars, June 26th at 6 o'clock. No, as a matter of fact, 7 o'clock. Kathleen told me to make it 7. So we're going to go with 7. So June 26th at 7 o'clock. Mark your calendars now. Put it in your smartphone. I don't want you to miss it. I don't know what God is going to give me to talk about, but whatever it is, it's going to be good. So listen, God bless you. It has been wonderful. Thank you, husband, so much
Oh,
for being on here with me. This is, I love this. I love this, guys. So thank you for all those who watched. Bye.
Bless you
Until the
all.
next time, God bless you.